You are 24 years old in a windowless fulfillment center when the scanner on your wrist screams at you for the first time. It is day 214 of your employment, and the countdown timer on your arm is dropping faster than you can move. A sharp jolt of pain shoots up your lower back, a warning signal your body is sending that you simply cannot afford to hear. Your manager, Dave, watches you from the end of the aisle, not with anger, but with the cold calculation of a man checking a broken appliance. You look around and realize the warehouse is not just a building, it is a city of steel that swallows people whole. Hundreds of others move in perfect silence around you, terrified that looking up will cost them their metrics. The exit signs glow in the distance, but they feel like they belong to a different world that you can no longer reach. This is the moment you understand that the device strapped to your arm owns your body more than you do. A harsh digital beep signals a penalty, marking a permanent strike against your employment record. But your story does not start with this failure. It starts on the day you thought you were lucky. 6 months ago, you stood in a line of hopeful applicants, clutching a resume and praying for a callback. You signed the digital contract without reading the fine print, just grateful to see a wage that could actually pay your rent. They handed you a bright orange vest and a badge with your face on it, and you felt a strange sense of pride. In the training room, a smiling video told you that you were about to deliver happiness to the world. The trainer mentioned safety protocols, but he skipped over the part about what happens when your body simply wears out. Walking onto the floor for the first time felt like stepping into the future, surrounded by robots that danced with perfect precision. Dave gave you a thumbs up and a welcoming smile, and for a moment, you thought he was your friend. You strapped on the scanner and the step counter, feeling like a pilot suiting up for an important mission. That first week, you were unstoppable, sprinting to every bin and beating the timer with seconds to spare. Every successful scan gave you a little dopamine hit, a green light that told you you were a good worker. In the break room, you sat with a veteran picker who ate his sandwich with the desperate speed of a starving man. He pointed to his knee brace and whispered that you should slow down before the concrete floor ate your joints. You just laughed it off, flexing your arm and thinking that you were built different. Walking to your car that night, your feet were only slightly sore, a satisfying ache of honest work. When your first full paycheck hit, you finally saw your bank account turn positive, and the relief was intoxicating. You memorized the maze of the warehouse, finding little shortcuts that shaved seconds off your time. You fell into a rhythm, your body moving automatically, the scanner beeping like a musical metronome. Dave showed you a graph where your performance line soared above the average, calling you a rock star. You even got a sticker for your badge that said 100% rate, a gold star for the industrial age. You saw security escorting someone out, but you told yourself they must have stolen something or been lazy. You bought a cold soda with your badge credit, tasting the sweet reward of being a model employee. Then came the first glitch. The scanner froze for 10 seconds and you felt a flash of genuine panic. When it rebooted, you sprinted to make up the lost time, confident you could outrun the software. That night, you fell asleep on the couch in your uniform, too exhausted to even wash the warehouse dust off your skin. By month 3, the alarm clock started to sound less like a reminder and more like a threat. A new wave of hires arrived, looking just as fresh and naive as you had been only weeks ago. You realized with a sinking feeling that you had to work harder just to stay ahead of the fresh meat. You started skipping water breaks because walking to the dispenser cost you 3 minutes of productivity. Your world narrowed down to a series of barcodes and bin numbers, erasing everything else from your mind. In the car, you rubbed a blister on your heel that never seemed to heal, just hardening into a permanent callus. Then came the announcement for peak season. Quotas were going up, and mandatory overtime was no longer a request. Nobody in the circle argued. You all just stared at the concrete, knowing that resistance was impossible. The conveyor belts seemed to speed up, their constant mechanical hum drilling into your skull. The algorithm began sending you on marathon runs to the farthest corners of the building for a single item. You ran back breathless, but the scanner didn't care about physics. It only marked you as slow. Bathroom breaks became a source of anxiety as you timed your bladder against the company clock. The scanner vibrated on the sink edge, asking if you were okay, a passive-aggressive way of telling you to get back to work. You passed the veteran picker in the aisle. He looked grey and was limping heavily now. You looked away, terrified that his weakness might somehow be contagious. Security checks became more invasive, stripping you of your dignity before you even clocked in. The lines ate into your unpaid lunch break, leaving you 10 minutes to fuel your body for another 5 hours of labor. You inhaled your food without tasting it, staring blankly at a safety poster on the wall. You scanned thousands of items, diapers, dog food, video games, objects that meant nothing to you. You stopped thinking. Your hand became a robotic claw. You were merging with the machine. At home, you soaked your feet in ice water, trying to numb the fire that never really went out. When you closed your eyes, you didn't see dreams. You saw endless rows of barcodes floating in the dark. Management announced a new rule: no sitting on the stepping stools. You had to stand for 10 hours straight. Your knees began to ache with a deep, grinding pain that aspirin couldn't touch. Peak season hit like a tsunami. Boxes piled up in the aisles, creating an obstacle course of cardboard. You climbed over precarious piles to reach your bins, risking your safety just to keep your rate up. The app notified you of 60-hour weeks. Your life outside these walls was officially cancelled. Dishes piled up in your sink at home. You had no energy to be a human being, only a worker. You let your mother's call go to voicemail because speaking required energy you didn't have. You arrived before the sun rose and left after it set. You began to forget what daylight looked like. Then you heard the crash. The veteran picker dropped a heavy pallet and went down hard. Dave rushed over, but his eyes went to the damaged merchandise before they went to the man on the floor. They took him away on a stretcher. 10 minutes later, a new worker was standing in his spot. A cold realization hit you. You are not a person here. You are a part that can be replaced. Your rate had dropped during the accident. The scanner flashed "speed up" in bright red letters. You felt a surge of rage, but you swallowed it down and forced your legs to move. Your bank account looked healthy, but you had no time to spend a dime. You were trapped by your own survival. Every morning in the parking lot, you had to grip the steering wheel and force yourself not to drive away. The click of the turnstile sounded less like an entrance and more like a cell door locking shut. You felt the cameras in the ceiling tracking your specific path, analyzing your gait for inefficiency. Dehydration made your head swim, but the water station was broken, so you just kept working dry. The shelves began to sway in your vision. You blinked hard, terrified of fainting and being fired. Black Friday week was a blur of noise and chaos. The volume of goods was suffocating. You were assigned to heavy-duty cat litter and dumbbells over and over again. Your back muscles tied themselves into knots of fire. Every time you bent down, it was agony. The scanner started glitching again, forcing you to type numbers manually while the timer kept running. Dave stopped you at his desk. "Your time off task is high today," he said, tapping the screen. You tried to explain the heavy items. He didn't look up. "The data is the data," he replied. You realized then that the truth didn't matter. The algorithm was the only god in this building. Desperate, you started running in the aisles, violating safety rules just to catch up. Sweat dripped into your eyes, stinging and salty, and you wiped it away with a filthy glove. A forklift zoomed past, inches from your nose. You didn't even flinch. You were too numb to be scared. You hid in a bathroom stall for 2 minutes just to cry, tears mixing with the grime on your face. The scanner buzzed on the toilet paper dispenser. "Return to station." It knew you were stopped. You walked back out, eyes dead. A hollow shell moving cardboard from point A to point B. Outside it was snowing. Inside, it was the same sterile, climate-controlled purgatory it always was. Cheap holiday decorations hung from the ceiling, a mocking reminder of the joy you were delivering to others. A voice on the PA thanked everyone for record-breaking profits, as if that money would ever reach your pocket. In the break room, they gave you a single small chocolate bar as a thank you bonus. You saw the wrapper of that chocolate bar in the trash can, unopened. Someone else felt the same way. You had survived a year, but you felt 10 years older. Your knees clicked with every step now. You ate ibuprofen like it was candy just to get out of bed. You saw new groups of kids coming in. You didn't look at their faces. They were just ghosts in waiting. The scanners got a software update. The font was smaller, but the timer was bigger. The quota was raised again, just a little bit. The water was boiling, and you were the frog. You stared at a box of toys, and for 1 second, you wanted to scream until your lungs burst. Then came day 400. You stretched high for a box on the top shelf, tired and careless. A sickening pop echoed in your lower spine, and the world went white with pain. You fell to your knees, gasping for air, as the box tumbled down beside you. The scanner didn't know you were hurt. It just started the time-off task timer. You knew the rule: report an injury, get drug tested, get put on light duty, and get managed out. So you forced yourself to stand up, gritting your teeth so hard you thought they might crack. You dragged your leg through the aisle, moving at half speed, blinding pain with every step. At home, you swallowed 4 pills. It barely touched the edge of the agony. The next day, you walked through the turnstile trying to hide your limp from the security guard. You fell behind quota immediately. The scanner beeped warnings at you every single minute. Dave called you to his desk. He looked disappointed, not concerned. He handed you a first written warning for productivity. You signed it in silence. You tried to work through it. Your body was fighting you, screaming at you to stop. You looked for the veteran picker's old spot. It was empty. He never came back. On day 404, you dropped a tray of detergent. Liquid soap spilled everywhere. A cleaning robot arrived before a human did, beeping at you to get out of its way. You went to HR to ask about medical leave. The rep handed you a stack of impossible paperwork. They mentioned pre-existing conditions and proper footwear. They were already building their case. You went back to the floor. You had rent to pay. You had no choice. The scanner felt heavier on your wrist now, like a shackle made of lead. You were moving too slow. The algorithm had already flagged you for termination. Dave was watching you from a distance, tapping his tablet with a rhythmic finality. The scanner locked out. Report to desk. The screen went black. Dave read from a script, consistently below expectations. It was mechanical. You didn't argue. You were too tired to argue. You just handed over your badge. Security walked you to the exit. You didn't get to say goodbye to anyone. The heavy metal door slammed shut behind you, cutting off the hum of the conveyor belts. The air outside smelled of diesel and rain. It was shocking to breathe real air again. You sat in your car, not starting the engine, just staring at the windshield. You looked at your wrist. The phantom weight of the scanner was still there. Your back spasmed. You realized this injury was your only severance package. The next morning, you woke up without an alarm. The silence was terrifying. You made coffee, but you had no purpose. The machine didn't need you anymore. You opened a job site on your laptop. Every listing said fast-paced environment. The fear hit you. You might have to go back to a different warehouse just to survive. Later, you see a delivery truck from your old company drive by on the street. You imagine the box inside that truck, and you know the exact aisle it came from. You see a customer picking up a package, smiling, completely oblivious to the cost. You look at yourself in the mirror. You look hollowed out, older than your years. You try to take a walk in the park, but your limp is permanent now. You sit on a bench. You are free, but you are broken. You read a news article about automation replacing workers in the logistics sector. You laugh bitterly. You were already a robot to them. They just want cheaper ones. You look at the city skyline. Every light represents a product someone had to pick. The whole world is a warehouse now. There is no outside. You close your eyes and you can still hear the phantom beep of the scanner. They bought your time, broke your body, and refunded you absolutely nothing. Somewhere, right now, a new kid is putting on your old vest. He smiles at Dave, thinking he got lucky, thinking he has a future here. Your story ends here, but the machine keeps turning, hungry for the next pair of hands.